golden light. War drums echo through the night. Heroes rise in golden dawn. Courage burns with armor on. Temples tall with stories bold. Battles fought in tales of old.
Welcome to 7D Channel. Today we focus on Part 5, Blacksmithing in Cambodia during the modern era post-independence, from 1953 to present Episode 5.2.7. The story of blacksmithing in Cambodia during the modern era post-independence, from 1953 to the present, reflects a transformation influenced by political changes, economic development, and the advent of modern technologies. After Cambodia gained independence from France in 1953, the country went through significant political and social changes, from periods of prosperity to devastating wars, and eventually into a more stable period in recent decades. Throughout these transitions, blacksmithing, as a traditional craft, has played a vital role in the country's history and economy, even as it has adapted to the modern world. The era of independence and early growth, 1953 to 1970. After Cambodia gained independence from France in 1953, the newly formed kingdom sought to modernize and rebuild its economy. The early post-independence period under King Norodom Sihanouk was marked by efforts to build national infrastructure and a sense of identity, which also had an impact on traditional crafts like blacksmithing in rural areas. In the 1950s and 1960s, Cambodia's economy was still largely agricultural, and blacksmithing remained an essential craft in rural areas. Blacksmiths produced tools such as plows, hoes, spades, and axes, which were crucial for the agrarian society. Blacksmiths also made cooking implements, hardware for houses, and traditional weapons for local defense or ceremonial purposes. Ironworking continued to be an important skill in both everyday life and the preservation of cultural heritage. Limited industrialization. During this period, limited industrialization was taking place. While some factories and workshops were established in urban areas like Phnom Penh, the handcrafted nature of blacksmithing persisted in rural communities. There was still a reliance on manual forging techniques, even as modern tools and machinery began to slowly make their way into Cambodia. Social changes. The Khmer Rouge regime, which would come into power in the 1970s, dramatically disrupted the fabric of Cambodian society, including the blacksmithing tradition. Before this upheaval, the urbanization and early modernization of Cambodia had started to influence local crafts, but many artisans still relied on traditional techniques passed down for generations. The Khmer Rouge period, 1975 to 1979, and the destruction of traditional crafts. The Khmer Rouge regime, led by Pol Pot, imposed a brutal and extreme form of agrarian socialism from 1975 to 1979, which radically transformed Cambodian society. During this period, the traditional practices of blacksmithing, like many other forms of craftsmanship, were severely disrupted. Forced labor and destruction of cultural heritage. The Khmer Rouge regime sought to abolish urban life, and people from cities were forcibly relocated to the countryside to work in labor camps. Many artisans, including blacksmiths, were either executed, forced into labor, or displaced. The destruction of cultural heritage meant that much of Cambodia's traditional crafts, including blacksmithing, faced immense setbacks. Tools, books, and knowledge related to craftsmanship were destroyed or lost during this period. Resilience of traditional blacksmithing. Despite the catastrophic impact of the Khmer Rouge regime, many blacksmiths in rural areas continued to practice their craft, albeit under much more difficult and oppressive conditions. Blacksmithing, like other traditional arts, served as a form of resilience for the Cambodian people. Post-Khmer Rouge period and Reconstruction, 1980s to 1990s. After the fall of the Khmer Rouge in 1979, Cambodia entered a period of reconstruction and recovery. The 1980s and 1990s were marked by efforts to rebuild the country, which had been devastated by the war, genocide, and years of isolation. The revival of traditional crafts like blacksmithing became part of the larger movement to restore the nation's cultural heritage. Revival of traditional crafts. As Cambodia slowly emerged from the destruction, there was a revival of traditional craftsmanship, including blacksmithing. Blacksmiths began to recreate the tools that were essential for farming, construction, and everyday life. In rural areas, iron and steel products were still essential for agricultural work, even as new technologies began to appear. Cambodian artisans were increasingly tasked with making tools and small machinery for agriculture and infrastructure development. At the same time, blacksmithing began to slowly integrate with new technologies as the economy modernized. Small-scale industries and urbanization. In the 1990s, Cambodia began to open up to the outside world after years of isolation and civil conflict. This resulted in the growth of small industries and infrastructure projects, where blacksmiths contributed by creating parts for construction and machinery. Blacksmithing in urban areas like Phnom Penh became more diverse, with an increase in demand for metalworking in construction, auto repair, and the production of metal ornaments for tourists. Modern era, 2000s present. The modern era in Cambodia has seen significant change, with globalization, economic growth, and technological innovation impacting the country's craft industries, including blacksmithing, integration of modern techniques and materials. As Cambodia entered the 21st century, blacksmithing began to adapt to modern techniques. Electricity and modern tools have gradually replaced traditional methods in some areas, while new alloys and materials like stainless steel and aluminum have found their way into Cambodian blacksmiths' workshops. Blacksmiths now work with a combination of traditional hand forging and modern technologies, producing goods for a wide range of industries, including automotive repairs, construction, and home goods. Blacksmithing for art and tourism. In addition to practical tools, some Cambodian blacksmiths have embraced the artistic side of metalworking. The tourism industry in Cambodia has driven demand for decorative metal objects, sculptures, and custom metalwork for both local markets and international buyers. Artisans in Phnom Penh and other cities produce metal sculptures, home decor, and furniture, blending traditional craftsmanship with contemporary design to cater to modern tastes. Challenges and preservation. Although modernization has created new opportunities for Cambodian blacksmiths, traditional methods are in danger of being lost. Many younger generations prefer working with modern machines or pursuing different professions, leaving older generations of blacksmiths as the last holders of traditional knowledge. Efforts to preserve and promote traditional blacksmithing through cultural programs and artisan markets are underway, with organizations seeking to help blacksmiths adapt to the changing economy while preserving their craft. Conclusion: legacy and future of blacksmithing in Cambodia. Blacksmithing in the modern era of Cambodia has undergone a dramatic evolution, from traditional rural practices to a more industrialized and diversified craft. While modern techniques and globalization have changed the landscape, traditional blacksmithing remains an important part of Cambodian cultural heritage, particularly in rural areas. The craft has adapted, and today, blacksmiths continue to play a key role in agriculture, construction. Thank you for listening. See you soon in Cambodia. Subscribe, like, and comment.